not only in popularity and viewership, but in the ability to almost print money. From greater access to more races, here's how it happened. For decades, Formula One was owned and run by one man, Bernie Ecclestone. He was old school, someone who thought the sport itself was enough, and there was no need for all this modern marketing and social media nonsense. But in 2016, Ecclestone agreed to sell his baby to American group Liberty Media. It cost Liberty Media $4.4 billion, and they quickly got to work. We got an F1 app almost immediately, and teams were allowed to show us more from behind the scenes. One of Liberty's most important deals was with Netflix, which in 2019 brought us Drive to Survive. The effect? An almost 70% rise in viewership for races in the US alone. It's massively benefited Formula One online too, with a rise from 7.8 million followers across its social media platforms in 2016 to around 50 million today. New eyes are on the sport too, with F1's own subscription TV channel, which people can watch anywhere in the world. But the main market they've tapped into is the US. There's now 3 races there a year, in Texas, Miami and Las Vegas, and an American-branded team, Cadillac, getting involved in the sport too. More races seems to be the direction of travel. A street circuit in Madrid's being welcomed onto the calendar, while conversations around a Grand Prix in Africa have ramped up in the last few years. More big events could be in the offing too, after the massive F1 75 season launch event in London in 2025. 7.5 million people tuned in to watch it live across the social media channels, and that doesn't include the viewing figures for where it was broadcast on TV in certain countries. It seems Liberty will do whatever they can to grow the F1 brand. Their efforts have been worthwhile too, with Forbes valuing the sport at $17.1 billion back in 2023, almost 4 times more than what they bought it for in 2016. Not bad, considering it's seen as a sport where people just drive around in circles.
Good morning, welcome to Sunday Edition with myself, Shaun Custis, and Henry Winter. It's a big day in the Premier League today, with 12th place Man United at Crystal Palace and 13th place Liverpool at West Ham. Yes, there are some strange goings-on in the Premier League, but there's a semblance of normality at 4:30 when 2 big guns clash at Stamford Bridge. 3rd place Chelsea, host leaders Arsenal. And what of Spurs? Oh dear. Thomas Frank is calling out the fans after defeat at home to Fulham, and they don't like it. What's the future for Thomas? Ben Stokes has also been calling a few people out, but has now apologised to our former cricketing greats, who he called has-beens after their criticisms. The second Ashes test starts on Thursday. And can Lando Norris win the F1 title today? He's in action in Qatar later on. You can get in touch with the show. Text us on 81089 or WhatsApp us on 03717 223344. We're also live on YouTube and your smart TV. Just search talksport.com/watch for more details. This is Sunday Edition on talkSPORT. Morning, Henry.
Good morning.
Have you got your tree up
It's
yet?
that time
It's
of
that
year.
time of year where we discuss our Christmas trees.
And you are going for the Tree of Shame again, are you?
Tree of Shame again, yep. Getting the artificial tree out, which is in the garage,
I'm really
poised, ready to go tomorrow.
Someone like you who doesn't respect the UK economy. So there are 1,500. Did you know there's 1,500 Christmas tree farms in this country? And you think of the importance of that in terms of jobs. 3 million plastic trees get imported from China. I've been doing my research. 3 million plastic trees get imported every year.
Yeah, but I've had this one quite a while, and it's doing really well.
You have? Okay, fantastic. And it'll end up in a landfill, as the two of us probably will one day. I don't think we'll be recycled.
You'll be getting
so I tell you what, if you're interested in the UK economy, you go for a real tree. If you're interested in climate change, you go for a real tree. Did you know that for every Christmas tree bought, real Christmas tree, not your fake ones, farmers have to plant between 1 and 3? So it's good for climate change. Anyway, so look, if you're not interested in the economy and climate change...
You'll be getting your tree from the King of Norway, no doubt, as they do in London.
Trafalgar Square, absolutely magnificent. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure you are. Look resplendent in the
Yeah, I'm pining for it already.
As will my tree. It'll look great. I'm still happy with it. It's fantastic. Anyway, onto the back pages and the front pages of the pull-out, and we're actually going to start with cricket, aren't we?
Yes, absolutely. No Christmas tree formations in cricket. Ben Stokes, I regret horrible Ashes has-beens slur on ex-players. This is the front of the Sunday Telegraph's pull-out. And look, we discussed this a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it was what he meant was the criticism of former players of the current team for not preparing properly. Michael Vaughan, Sir Ian Botham, Lord Botham, I think now, and he's recently his birthday, so happy birthday to one of the greats, definitely not a has-been. And Sir Geoffrey Boycott, they all responded to his comments and the criticism, and it was, look, he's now come out and talked to Stokes, and he says, I got my words wrong, has-beens is a horrible word. It's the only thing that managed to come out of my mouth in that moment. So, and then he says, I'm going to be one of those, a former player one day. And so, look, he has apologised, as he rightly should.
And when you list that group of players, one group of players who you shouldn't call has-beens is that esteemed group. I mean, it's about 4 of the best players in the history of cricket.
3 legends, absolute legends, and England might
but he was,
do with that
it's a bit like it's a bit like with football, isn't it? When you've had a bad defeat and you're ranting and raving at the world and you feel that people don't quite understand what you're trying to do, but you lost in 2 days and you've got to take the criticism of it.
Yeah, I guess in club terms, it would be the equivalent of Bruno Fernandes coming out and calling sort of Gary Neville or Roy Keane has-beens. Former players and legends of the club who have every right to critique. And, you know, their columns and their words on the radio and television were actually pretty accurate. Michael Vaughan, Lord Botham and Geoffrey Boycott.
I think also, you know, with a 1-0 down and they've got this day-night test, which they're not optimistic of winning because Australia always win the day-night test. Bruce even has been saying today that he's not really a fan of them and we don't play them very much. So there's every chance it'll be 2-0 down before we turn around.
How does it affect you as a sports editor, or are they just a nightmare?
Hey, no, it's all right. We do online, we're doing video, we're doing print. It's just, it falls where it falls.
I get that, but if you're preparing your back page...
I think it starts at 4 a.m. We were joking before, you could do a preview of the day, which starts at 4 a.m. and by 7 a.m. it could be all over, or there could be the end of the first innings.
I'm still recovering from 2002 when we had to do a preview to England-Brazil, and we did that big interview with David Seaman. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And then he did become the...
I should fight on. I'm still as good as ever, said David.
Which actually did work in the
40 yards.
Yeah. Right, where do you want to go now?
Lando Norris. I want to discuss Lando Norris simply because, look, he has a great chance of winning the F1 title today, but he doesn't quite generate the type of headlines which Lewis Hamilton does. And I accept Lewis Hamilton's won it many times, but Hamilton, even if he's in his early days, generated bigger, back pages and stuff like that. Norris,
but that's because of the quotes, the personality. That's a bit harsh on Lando Norris.
But I don't think he has the same personality. I don't think he has the same charisma as Hamilton.
So you base what you're going to put on your back page on their charisma and their quotability?
Yeah, I think, of course, quotability as well. Yeah, it definitely helps. That doesn't mean he's not a good driver.
No, he's obviously a very good driver.
But I mean, somebody like Verstappen, for instance, gets on a back page winding him up, saying, if I'd been in your car, I'd have won this title by now, mate.
And you absolutely loved it on the back page of your paper.
Yeah, we did.
Lando raps nonsense from Isabel Barker in Doha. Fired up Lando Norris slammed Max Verstappen's mind games, saying the Dutchman is talking nonsense. By the way, you've told me that the Grand Prix track is next to the Losail.
Yeah.
Was it there when we were there? It's been there for a while.
Yeah. Where the World Cup final was held, it's near there, yeah.
It's extraordinary, isn't it, what they do with sport over there.
It's amazing.
Throw money at it.
And I've no doubt the lights on the track will be absolutely amazing, because the lights in Qatar for getting around for the World Cup on the motorways were like nothing I'd ever seen.
Driving? Did you drive when you were out there?
Yeah.
I mean, that was quite an experience, actually.
Certainly was.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there
is some football on the back pages, which we'll delve deeper into later on in the show, but just pick out a couple of highlights.
Yeah, just Emil Heskey's been talking to the Sunday Mirror, and the headline is Ditch the Axe Chat. Emil Heskey on why Arne Slot needs time to right the Anfield wrongs. And there have been some measured pieces, as you would expect in the Sunday newspapers, reflecting off Johnny Northcroft in the Sunday Times, just reflecting on a little bit more support, shall we say, than in previous headlines. I was really surprised that the reaction online immediately after the defeat the other night was particularly from actually one or two of the sort of the local journalists who do a lot online. They were actually quite critical. They sort of went for Slot.
They were, but I think there's been a bit of in-house briefing since then to bring them back on side.
Well, not necessarily with them, but maybe more with the newspapers and the Sundays. Definitely.
I mean, you called him a fantastic manager last week. I still dispute whether you can call him that. And then he's gone and got smacked by PSV during. Yeah. And then he's gone and got smacked by PSV in the week, and the evidence is building against him
because of issues. Not all of his own making.
Yeah.
Look, I agree with you. Tactically, there have been one or two issues. He has not been helped by the pursuit of Mark Gay. They should have done it earlier in the window. Isak, earlier in the window. I know it's you're probably smiling about it now, particularly with Voltemade having fun. But if he's not completely fit. So that is an issue there. Ekitike's been fine. Did he know that Kanate's form was going to sort of go off a cliff? Milos Kerkez, you can't dispute. He was a fantastic left back, got into the team of the season. So look, they're individual player issues, but I agree. He's absolutely got to get them going again. But I don't think you can write them off, and that's what Emil Heskey is saying, and Johnny in the Sunday Times.
One man who's definitely on form and right back to his best is Phil Foden, who looks actually, interesting, really fit. Yeah. To me, I wonder if he was really suffering fitness-wise when he dropped off.
He spoke, I think it was to the MEN, the Manchester Evening News, about sort of one or two mental health issues. And, we often forget, particularly in our role, that we forget that they are human beings as well as these sort of amazing sporting athletes. And, I was looking at yesterday, what is the longest time between goals that a player has gone in a game? Because he scored in the first minute and he scored sort of way into injury time. But, Match of the Day did it very well last night, just sort of looking at just the way he takes the ball. He's always scanning. I think was it Joe Hart or Danny Murphy was talking about. He was always scanning for when the ball came in. He worked out where everyone was because there were 14 players, I think, in the box that he then had to sort of manoeuvre the ball past. Gvardiol jumps out the way, can see it early. So, look, fantastic. But how many tens?
I know. I'm really looking forward to how you're going to shoehorn him into your England side. Yeah, it's going to be tricky. That, especially Cole Palmer's coming back now. He's back in the mix. Morgan Rogers is the man in possession. Jude Bellingham wants to play.
There are going to be two big name tens left out of the squad, let alone out of the team.
Yeah, I think you're right. Anyway, coming up next on Sunday Edition, we look back on another disaster day for Spurs.
welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Saturday night is often date night, but it's also the night when someone gets their heart broken. Will it be Tottenham or will it be Fulham? Tete, he's there, he's going to strike it, takes a deflection and goes in past the stranded Vicario, and Fulham take the lead after 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
And it's the last thing Tottenham needed.
Vicario's coming to the right fullback position and he's out of his goal and he's giving the ball away to Josh King, and he's in a right pickle and they bent it in with Wilson! It's 2-0!
A lot of Spurs fans off their seats berating the goalkeeper.
Tottenham have had a 1% chance of scoring a goal in the first half. Custis is back in here and he's volleyed the ball into the top corner.
It only takes one goal in the Premier League and all of a sudden things get a little bit more exciting around the stadium.
Well, the Jekyll and Hyde nature of Spurs is once again in full display at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. There's the full-time whistle, and listen to those boos. I think there might be a frank exchange of views after that. Tottenham lose again. They fail to win at home again, and it's finished Tottenham 1, Fulham 2.
Yeah, disastrous evening for Spurs. Kenny Tete and Harry Wilson put Fulham in the lead within 6 minutes. The second one as a result of an absolute howler from Vicario. Kudus scored in the second half to half the deficit, which makes it 3 defeats in a week for Spurs. And you won't find it reflected so much in the papers today because it's a late kick-off on a Saturday night and big papers are on a Sunday, so they go a bit earlier. So you have to maybe get in your second editions. And my missus said to me after I just watched Everton Newcastle, "You're not telling me there's more football on 8 o'clock on a Saturday night." Anyway, after the game, speaking to talkSPORT, Thomas Frank gave his opinion on the reaction of the fans towards goalkeeper Vicario.
I didn't like how the fans reacted on that. I think they booed at him straight after, and also 3 or 4 times when he was on the ball. I think for me that's unacceptable. It can't be true Tottenham fans. Booing after, fair, no problem. But when we need it together. And if we need to turn it around, we need to do it together. So that's hugely important for me.
So Spurs fans pay good money to go on a Saturday night to watch their team try to entertain them, and they don't, and they produce a load of rubbish, and they get told off into the bargain. Quite a night.
When Thomas Frank said that they can't be true Tottenham fans, you just bore that look of someone who has spent a long time covering football. Can't believe a manager who's a very intelligent manager and a good manager, fantastic manager.
Fantastic manager in your view, I'm sure.
Fantastic managers. It could say something. I mean, it's risky, a bit naive. I mean, what you do in situations like that, you play the Alex Ferguson card. You come out and you defend your man, but you don't almost pick fights, if that's maybe too strong a word, with Tottenham fans who are, as you say, it's not necessarily, it's a great stadium to go to, but it's probably not the cheapest in terms of season tickets. And remember, those fans will be there after Thomas Frank has left, after Vicario has moved on to another club. They will be there. They are true fans. You can't throw that.
I think perhaps you can get away with it if you've got a lot of credit in the bank. For instance, when he was at Brentford, he'd have a little chip from time to time, and you go, "Oh, all right, Thomas, sorry, we accept whatever you say." But he's got no credit in the bank at Spurs, so now taking on the fans already is, as you say, pretty risky.
Also, it's Tottenham, it's not Brentford, and the scrutiny is going to be more, whether that's on social media, whether that's us lot on the radio, whether that's on television, whether that's on the back pages. There's bound to be more scrutiny on it. I mean, that a tiny sound becomes a big noise at clubs like Spurs. So yeah, I was surprised he did that, but I was also surprised that Vicario, what he did,
Well, let's explain it. He came right out of his goal and he attempted to kick the ball up the field rather than put it out of play.
He was trying to play it down the line to Bergvall. I understand that in the modern way, but sometimes, listen, you're so far out of your goal, your defence can be a little bit ragged at times. I was slightly surprised that one of the defenders didn't run back and stand on the goal line and say, well, listen, I'll almost rush goalie for a while. But he didn't then own up to his mistake. Sorry, in all this, we've got to say what a fantastic finish from, King did well, and then Wilson's finish, absolutely fantastic, and they were deserved winners overall. But that, and then just not to acknowledge it, in a situation like that, you put your hand
blame
up,
everyone else.
You play it to throw your whole team under the buses.
I'm not particularly trying to defend him here, but do you think one of the problems keepers have when people say you should just boot it out of play is that there is another ball sitting there waiting, ready? So booting it high into the stands doesn't necessarily gain you a lot. If somebody picks up another ball which is right next there, takes a quick throw, you could still be out your goal. So maybe he's trying to get it down the line because of that.
But then your left back comes in and stands in front of the thrower just to sort of close the whole thing down.
Maybe. Now, none of us disputed the fact that Thomas Frank seemed like the right fit for the job at Spurs when he came.
Are you making it a debate?
No, I'm just saying to you, there was no question. People are saying, "Oh, should he be replaced? Was he the right man for the job? Should it have been Marco Silva, etc." But when he came in, pretty much unanimously, everybody went, "Yeah, top job that. He's done a fantastic job at Brentford. They defend a little bit better than Spurs, but he also has attacking instincts as well. Excellent fit."
Yeah, but I don't think that necessarily means we're going to rush him out the door now. I mean, because why do you think he's?
I'm not saying that, but I do feel that the fans have turned pretty quickly, and because he's done this, that's going to turn it even further. And we don't really know what the owners of Spurs, how they're going to react now with Levy out the way. I know Levy fired managers, but these ones might be more trigger happy than he was.
Yeah, although they might want to give him time as he's...
Does he deserve time?
Of course he does. I mean, he's also got to get the home form right, because that's where a lot of the dissent obviously is emanating from at the moment. He could do with centre forward. I mean, Kolo Muane's been decent, but it's still an issue with them. There's still
Solanke's not really.
No, well, I mean, he's got sort of injury.
I know
problems.
he is, but
Kudus I thought was good. Obviously out wide. I mean, look, they've had some good results.
Richarlison,
honestly,
no, yeah, his goal scoring record for Brazil, as we mentioned before, is very good, but. Does he do enough as an out-and-out forward? Well, he does quite a lot of things. He gets on people's nerves, but does he score enough goals?
He scores some spectacular goals, as we've seen recently. But no, I agree with you. But I just think we can't... I know we're sort of slightly angry country and social media and all that, but I don't think you can run Thomas Frank out of... just give him some time. One thing I would absolutely agree with a lot of Tottenham fans on, having looked at the forums last night, they're not quite sure what his approach is, what his tactics. I couldn't tell you what his style of play is.
No.
I mean,
we'll have a go.
It's slightly, he wants to be, defensively organised and progressive, but it's not like you look at, say, Keith Andrews' team with Brentford and you go immediately, he's been in, obviously, since Thomas Frank has left, and you can see the way that they're trying to play with Damsgaard behind that, attacking three. You can see it with an Areola team. But with Frank, I think he needs to have that confidence to impose exactly the way that he wants to play.
And he faces the daunting prospect of going to play the mighty Geordies on Tuesday night. Yeah. And we have scored a few early goals against them in the past. I remember a 5-0 up inside 21 minutes once.
And you'll be there.
I will. I'm popping up just hopefully to see that happen. Although
Are you corporate or are you...
No, just... Mr. Normal,
Good.
Popping along, going to see my team. But I must say, it feels like we've got a bit of momentum back and they've got none at all. And that's a fairly daunting prospect for Tottenham on Tuesday night, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. Particularly when you look at, you've got your fullbacks back.
If you, Frank, in that dressing room now, what's the one thing you think you'd do and say to the players to try and sort something out quite quickly?
Calm things down, and you look around for leaders. Who are the leaders in
Who
there?
are they?
Well, who are they?
Go on.
Romero?
Vicario actually does quite a bit of shouting,
He
doesn't
does a bit of shouting, but maybe he should shout at himself a little bit.
Yeah, change the keeper?
No. Well, sorry, who? Who? I mean, Vicario is. I mean, we've had all that sort of debate for a while, but Vicario is a good keeper. But that
There's a good keeper in there somewhere.
There is a good keeper in there, but stay in your box, mate.
Quite. This is Sunday Edition on talkSPORT, and next up we'll go through more of Saturday's results with special focus on the North East.
Knows there are 20 managers in the Premier League, yeah? Well, actually, no. Around 3/4 of them are not managers. The terms manager and head coach are often used interchangeably to describe Premier League bosses, but they're actually two different jobs. So let's explain how and why. For years, fans referred to Mikel Arteta as Arsenal's manager, but I'm afraid technically...
I don't think so, no.
From his first day on the job, he was the Gunners' head coach. Let's pick a random moment in time, February 2025. Only 6 Premier League bosses actually held the official title of manager rather than head coach. Man City's Pep Guardiola, David Moyes of Everton, Ipswich boss Kieran McKenna, Southampton's Ivan Juric, Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace and Leicester's Ruud van Nistelrooy were the only actual managers of their respective teams. Everyone else? That's right, head coach, including Ruben Amorim at Man United. He took over from Erik ten Hag, a man who had held the title of manager. Might come as a surprise that Amorim's appointment marked the first time ever that Man United had a head coach instead of a manager. But to understand why they made that decision, you also have to get what the difference is between a head coach and a manager. A manager's got a huge range of responsibilities. They're not just in charge of training and player lineups, they're also heavily involved in player sales and transfers. Critical stuff. But a head coach's role is far more focused on team training and performance on the pitch. So whereas Ten Hag was highly involved with decisions around transfers during his tenure, the intention was that Amorim wouldn't be, at least not on the same level. And as the sporting structure at Man United changed under Sir Jim Ratcliffe, people like Sir Dave Brailsford took charge of transfers instead. How all those roles play out in practice may be slightly different at different clubs though. On the other hand, the contracts of actual managers like Pep or Moyes had no limits on their job role and their involvement with transfers and contracts. But those guys are actually in the minority now, and it's a change that's happened pretty quickly. In 2019, there were only 6 head coaches in the Premier League, but by 2025 there were 14. A clear indication that more and more clubs are moving towards a model where the guy in charge is actually only
we've had. Ton of goals have been raining in.
From 40 yards out! What a goal! What a wonderful goal! I think it's Tyler Adams who scored from 40 yards out. It's Sunderland 0, Bournemouth 2.
Just pick Wayne Rooney, West Ham.
And it's all over now. Brentford 3, Burnley 1, Dongo Watara.
The turnaround is complete. Sunderland 3, Bournemouth 2. And it's Brian Brobby, the hero here against Arsenal a couple of weeks ago.
Phil Foden, Manchester City legend. Mickey Gray.
Well, are you watching Thomas Tuchel? Manchester City 3, Leeds United 2. Leeds players are heartbroken.
Everton 1, Newcastle 4. Newcastle picking up their first away win of the season, and they absolutely hammered Everton.
Yep, that's how the Premier League sounded on talkSPORT yesterday, featuring a brilliant win for Newcastle United. Everton finally won on the road. Thought that would never happen, Henry, but fully deserved. And we're starting to see quite a bit of players, what Malik Chow, Voltemada are all about now.
Yeah, and what also was encouraging was Lewis Miley. I thought he was terrific. Was it a goal and an assist?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, chances are going to be few and far between actually playing in your central midfield, because you've got such talent in there, Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali Joe Linton. Also, I get all the sort of debate about, the focus on the fullbacks were terrific, and Voltemada's goal, as you say, was outstanding. But a little word of credit to Anthony Elanga, who I think
actually had a good game yesterday.
He had a good game, yeah. And I thought it was, and then there've been a few sort of doubts over him, over the fee. And, you're actually sort of fairly well stocked, or you're doing okay on the right before he arrived. But actually I thought he was good yesterday. But explain to me how on the road this season in the Premier League, you'd only scored 3 Premier League goals.
It's incredible, 7. Really. Particularly as Voltemada has been pretty good since he arrived. But when he hasn't played, Anthony Gordon through the middle, when we try that, just doesn't work. I'm convinced it doesn't work. Tried it in a week, and it's not. It's just.
He won a trophy with England under 21s. But
I know, but he's not centre forward. But I think he's actually going to struggle to find his way in that team at the moment.
Because of Barnes?
Barnes playing really well. All the wide. We've got quite a lot of wide men, and we play completely differently. Obviously, if Voltemada's playing in the middle and Visser comes into the team as well, he's going to find life quite hard.
But what happens to your midfield if you have an extra striker? So assuming that Eddie continues to play with 2 wide. Well, yeah, but you're allowed an opinion, Shaun. Particularly as you're going on Tuesday. If you've got the 2 wide players, which you play fantastically, and it stretches the team, and you do have that central 3, and Voltemada has been playing effectively as a 9 almost, although he is very much he's a 9.5.
Oh, you love the 9.5, don't you?
No, I like it.
Do you think he's sort of a Kane type of player
in some
Kane ways?
Now. Yeah.
In the way, because he does drop off, hold the ball up, link the play, get back up there, which Kane does quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe he was studying.
I saw him a bit of him at the under-21s, and England were debating how they would mark him in the final, whether it would be more Elliot Anderson dropping back because he plays that 10, or whether it would be Kwanzaa and Cresswell stepping out, and they juggled it between them, and he didn't actually do anything in that final. England were excellent.
I remember you mentioning him at the under-21. How you'd watched him at the under-21s, and I couldn't work out in the under-21s whether he was just there because he was like the big lad at school. Yeah. He's gone in the under-21s and can muscle people out of it, but might find it difficult in the Premier League against senior players. Yet he's made the step pretty easily, really.
Well, I think that's credit to Eddie. I think it's credit to your dressing room, the fact he's been embraced. Your fans are obviously loving him. Look, you wanted him to succeed because it was a sort of a nod to Isak, wasn't it? If the fact that he'd come in, completely different players and all that. Also, Bayern Munich were a little bit sniffy because they immediately assumed that German
more than a bit
players
sniffy.
Yeah, I know. I was being diplomatic.
Ridiculous.
And look at how he's played. But I also think it's credit to Eddie Howe and Jason and Tyndall and the others because I think he's improved.
Quite old-fashioned sort of centre forward in some ways when he's in the box and holding it up and laying it off. But
that finish,
through a lot of,
yes,
through a lot of work. And Chow, as I say, let's be honest, we didn't know lots about him when he arrived at Newcastle. And Volta after the match was actually taking the mickey out of him that he couldn't head the ball, which took me slightly by surprise because I thought, isn't he good at that? Well, he was certainly good at that in the game. Anyway.
Very good, very good. Is he one of the signings of the summer?
Isn't it a little early to judge all this?
Yeah, but
we're only in November.
Isn't that what we tend to do?
Is Wirtz one of the worst signings of the summer? Is Isak one of the worst signings of the summer? But can you judge it by this time? One of the things which we debated on the In the Tune podcast this week, which you can still get on talkSPORT YouTube channel, was the goalkeepers. And we were actually thinking it was time for Nick Pope to be replaced by Ramsdale. It seems that it came about anyway because Pope was injured.
Do you think it was going to happen anyway, regardless of the injury?
I don't know, because Eddie's so loyal to certain players and seemed to still be backing Pope after the Marseille game. But I don't know.
Did you drop someone because of one game?
Well, no, but he struggled a little bit.
Potting up.
Still great at saves, but not so good at the rest of it. And Ramsdale, if you've got another England goalkeeper, it seems Ramsdale did sign to try and get the number one spot.
Absolutely.
You've got to give him a go somewhere. Of course, he had nothing to do yesterday, so he's probably secured his place for the Spurs game because why would you leave him out now? And I've always said to you as well, he's a bit of a shouter, isn't he? He's a bit of a leader in the box, and maybe that's something that Pope doesn't really do.
It'd be nice to see him do well after our fairly spectacular falling out with him. Was it in Qatar where he wouldn't talk to us because he was upset about something?
I don't think I was at that particular.
Then it was probably
I was in Qatar,
me,
but I don't think I was there. What did you do to him?
No, it was. I think it might have been one of the front pages. Just had a picture of his partner that he wasn't too happy with the picture.
Oh, it was Ramsdale.
Ramsdale.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
Ramsdale.
Yeah. Right. He wasn't happy that we showed a bit upset.
But everyone you talk to around him when he was at Arsenal, wherever he's been, just says what a great bloke he is.
She was yawning, wasn't she?
Yeah,
in the crowd.
And the headline was Yawn in the USA.
Yeah, Yawn in the USA, that's right.
So I think we got a one day ban for
yes,
him.
I think we probably
thoroughly
did.
deserved.
Just quickly on Everton, you get the euphoria of that great win at Man United and then back down to earth with a sizable bump.
With most of their players there playing. I mean, it wasn't as if they were missing key players. Yeah, so it was just bizarre. But look, credit to your team. Where are you on the fullbacks have changed things? When you look at Livramento coming in, stepping into midfield, giving you that extra body there, and then you've got Lewis Hall providing that width down the left as well. Are they your starting fullbacks?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Are they then you've got to work out what you do with all the centre halves. Anyway, I'll give the final word to Eddie Howe, who gave his thoughts on the big win yesterday at talkSPORT.
Yeah, I mean, it's a surprising one for us because we've been historically really good in that respect, especially on the road. For whatever reason, we found goals and even chances quite hard to come by. But today was different. I thought we had a good look about us. Of course, we've scored a couple from set plays, but Nick's back on the score sheet. That was really important. And I thought we could have got more in certain moments. So we're very, very happy, but we know we can play better.
Anyway, well done, Eddie. Well done, Newcastle. Producer and me are going, we've got to talk about Sunderland. So, okay then.
What a game. What a game.
And fair play to them. 2-0 down. This is another side to Sunderland we're now seeing. You can't even go 2-0 up against Sunderland and be sure that you're going to win or even get a draw, because that was a superb comeback. Bournemouth racing to 2-goal lead in the first half, and Sunderland turned it around. Lefay Penn, Traore and Brian Brobby with the goals, and they're fourth in the table again. With a derby game to come on Sunday the 14th, by the way. Anyway.
But the weather, the rain, and they was absolutely as relentless as the rain. I mean, Granit Xhaka sets the tone there. It was interesting when one of the goal celebrations, Xhaka was still G'ing them up. I mean, he's an absolute force. But yeah, I mean, but might it have been different if Evan Nilsson hadn't touched that shot from Semenyo in?
Yeah.
Ruled offside.
When you're a striker, though, can you be sure you let that go and it just catches the post and then it goes out? It could have hit the post.
It was going in, though, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sunderland manager Regis Lebris spoke to talkSPORT after the game and talked about the importance of the victory after they were 2-0 down.
Yeah, I think this one coming from 2-0 down is really important, especially in these circumstances, I think. So it's good for the character, the experience and the belief of the squad, I think, because probably at Fulham we missed this opportunity to show the best version of Sunderland, and in this best version we have the character, we have the intensity, we have the second balls, we have the content press and so on, and today it was the case.
Yeah, I mean, just emphasising there what a great job they did as a team, and really even in the first half when they were 2-0 down, I mean, I'm only going by the highlights, you still felt they had something about them. This isn't a team that's just come up and gone, oh dear, I don't know how to handle this. Oh, come on, we can do this, we know what we're doing here.
Do you think that's partly the home support? Because they were.
I mean, it's pretty lively in there, and of course they're not going to be down on their team who's been doing so well. So there's a lot of encouragement going on there. I'm just fascinated by the way a disparate group of players that's been brought in the summer have gelled so well.
Xhaka. I mean, Xhaka.
Well, no, but I mean, is it him? Is that what you think it is? It's him getting everybody together and say, you go there, you go there, you do this, you do that, and I'll just pull all the strings.
I mean, Xhaka, I don't think that's necessarily his sort of tactical remit. There's an element of pointing them around, but I think it's just the emotional tone that he sets. I just think when they look at him, someone who's captains his country, and they realise what he's done in his career, and he is still absolutely on it, and that hunger, another inspired signing.
But when he left Arsenal, he'd actually rallied a bit and his form was a bit better by the time he left Arsenal.
He was booed off.
Before that, he was getting booed off and Arsenal fans were dying to see the back of him.
That was to do with the armband. That was about respect for the armband when he went off, and he had to release a statement 24.
But he wasn't playing well either. Earlier, actually, by the time he left, he'd got his form back. But there had been a patch, maybe 6 months, where he just wasn't doing it, and Arsenal fans didn't want him there anymore.
No, and he did a very interesting interview with, I think it was Dave Heitner in The Guardian around that time. And it was sort of showing the different side of him, someone who cared, someone who really thinks about the game. And I think he was pictured wandering around Camden Market in North London. It was a very interesting piece. And I mean, someone like me who's never met him was thinking, all right, there's a very much a different side to him. There's a bit of hinterland to this individual, and he does care and he does think a lot. And clearly that is absolutely showing there. I mean, I imagine he's on good money, and they would have pushed the boat out to.
He's earning it though.
He's absolutely earning it.
Well done, Granit Xhaka, and well done, Sunderland. This is Sunday Edition on talkSPORT. We look at Man City's last gasp winner over Leeds as they go second in the Premier League.
Step up to the Oki and win on talkSPORT.
We're closing in on the talkSPORT Darts Presenter Trophy 2025, which is now in its third year, where 8 of talkSPORT's biggest names go head-to-head ahead of the PDC World Darts Championship kickoff. And this year, you and a mate could be right there with us.
You'll be the only members of the public allowed in on Wednesday, the 10th of December in London. 2 seats, 2 insiders passes. A true money-can't-buy experience for the ultimate talkSPORT fan. The very next day, you'll also both be heading to the opening day at the PDC World Darts Championship. Plus, we'll sort 2 nights hotel stay and a massive £2,500 in cash.
For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 423 9761. Lines close at 4 p.m. next Thursday. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus UK, excluding Northern Ireland. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now. This is a network promotion. Full T&Cs at talksport.com. I notice we're not in the talkSPORT's biggest names who go head-to-head in this darts competition. Maybe we could play a qualifier early on, as we're only sort of once-a-weekers. We could play with some of the other once-a-week presenters.
I think I'm probably banned after my woeful performance in the media.
The media one, yes.
Yeah. I played Harry Kane. I don't think I actually cracked. No, I did just about crack double figures. It was appalling.
How many darts did you throw to crack? 3 darts, and you got about...
I got about 18, 19 or something.
Maybe we won't have Henry.
Nerves. It was the nerves.
Was it?
Yeah.
Went to pieces. Well, imagine if you were on the stage at Ali Pali.
I wouldn't get up there.
No. Anyway, let's get on to something you know what you're talking about. Man City leads. Man City, great late win, 3-2. Looked like they might have to settle for a point at one point till Foden stepped up. But Daniel Farke had a bit of a moan about the fact that Donnarumma went down injured, gave Pep a chance to do a bit of team talk, and he sort of implied Donnarumma was faking it. Now, Pep's no stranger to the dark arts. We've seen it before, tactical fouls in midfield with a player who hasn't been booked and all of that. Was he pushing it a bit, Pep?
No, I think others do it. I mean...
Well, do they?
They do, absolutely. So, look, it's a very difficult one to prove. And Daniel Farke, was saying this about Donnarumma. I mean, normally you get it halfway through a half if the team wants
us. After about an hour, was it?
Yeah. Normally it's sort of halfway through a half, and it happened because there was a debate on social media about it when Jordan Pickford went down exactly halfway through the first half of England against Serbia. And immediately the medics ran on. He was rubbing his thigh. He must have had an issue. Jordan Pickford doesn't seem like the type who would normally feign something. But what was very interesting is that if it was a tactical timeout, all the players ran to Thomas Tuchel. And he then had a sort of quick confab, sorted out a few things, and then they went on. And it was interesting. So I immediately looked to see whether Dean Henderson was warming up, how much of an issue there was with Jordan Pickford. And, he did look in serious pain, but, he's whether it was the magic sponge, whatever it was, he got on. So there possibly was an issue there. But what was interesting was the debate on social media, and it was very much people saying it's a timeout, happens pretty much every game, everywhere. They might as well introduce it officially. The debate then rolled on to how you deal with it. So obviously a lot of football fans have seen this at their games and seen it's an issue. And one poster made the point that all players, obviously being the outfield players, in this case with Pickford, should remain in the centre circle until the treatment is over, so to prevent the coaching and the tactical timeout. And I think we'll see a lot in America next summer, particularly if it's hot.
And of course, it's your goalkeeper you want to go down because you can't carry on the game while there's a goalkeeper being treated. I get all that, but is it cricket?
Well, is it rugby? I mean, in rugby, I think you get the medics will run on and deal with someone.
How did they get the message to him, by the way? How did he know to go down? I couldn't quite work out how it had Donnarumma to go down so that Pep could do his tactical tweak. What happened?
I don't know whether there was a player actually sort of signalling to him. Look, it's such a difficult one to discuss because it is so subjective, because unless you are in Donnarumma's head. You don't know exactly what his intentions. Look, he might have been genuinely injured, and the medics are, as they pointed out, Joe Hart pointed out on Match of the Day last night, they've got very good physios who came and got him going again very quickly. But look, it is... look, Manchester City are not the only ones to do this.
And we mentioned earlier on how good Phil Foden was and how he inspired City to win the game after Leeds had played pretty well. And it was a hard one for Leeds to take, losing that game. And after full time, Leeds boss Daniel Farke spoke to talkSPORT and joked about how tough of a job it is to keep Leeds up.
Yes, if we finish on position 17, I will organise myself a next open bus tour. That's definitely for sure. But it's a long road in order to be allowed to do this. And this league is so competitive, and each every game is different. You have to be spot on. It's a long road, but we keep walking the long road.
An open top bus tour if you finish 17th. Of course, Spurs had an open top bus tour last season, and they finished 17th.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like Farke, but I can understand there is a little bit of concern amongst
what is it he's not doing right?
Well, what he did right yesterday. Well, I think they wanted more attacking. They wanted James. A lot of the fans wanted James and Willian Gnonto to start, and they did. It didn't quite work out. I think what a lot of them wanted was him to be more decisive earlier in games, and he was at half-time. He brought Calvert-Lewin on, and Calvert-Lewin, won a penalty, scored the goal, admittedly with some poor defending by Mateus Nunes, and then Guardiola, the challenge for the penalty. But
they competed well, though, and it strikes me with Leeds, they're not getting stuffed, are they? No. They're sort of holding their own, but
against Manchester City, who are an exceptional side. And it was just a bit of genius from Phil Foden towards the end.
But deservedly beaten in the end or not?
I mean, City are phenomenal.
A few texts coming in. Andrew says, "Morning, Henry, re-goalkeeper and dark arts. The first team who started it was Eddie Howe at Newcastle. They're masters of the art. Tell your mate Custis it's a bit rich. He's accusing City when Newcastle started it."
I don't think there's accusations going on. It's just a debate about tactical timeouts, which at some point are...
let's take it on. You talked about the World Cup. Do you actually think this is going to happen? Because the temperatures probably will justify it anyway.
Yeah, so it will be a climate timeout as much as a tactical timeout, but it will be used for tactical reasons, absolutely. My concern long-term is, do they put ads in?
Yeah, quite. Don't get down that road. Anyway, quick word on Brentford 3, Burnley 1 before we go. Brentford boss Keith Andrews spoke to talkSPORT after the game, and he's back striker Igor Thiago as he looks to break into the Brazil squad.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. He's very patriotic, proud Brazilian, aspirations to play for his national team, and if he keeps doing what he's doing, I would imagine it's only going to be a matter of time.
Doing a good job, Keith Andrews, isn't he? In Thomas Frank's place.
He is. I mean, you look at the football, there were quite a few question marks about him. Does he deserve it? But look, they appoint well, they recruit well. Matthew Benham is shrewd. He's got fantastic people around him, and he obviously saw something in Keith Andrews. I mean, look, you've probably interviewed him down the years. I've been and had sort of coffee with him at times and sort of talked to him. Yeah, absolutely. When he was a player. And very thoughtful about the game. That doesn't necessarily mean that there will be a good manager, but he's got that driven element to him. Far more than a set-piece coach, far more than a bus stop in Hounslow, and they're flying.
But do you think it was a sort of low-risk appointment by Brentford in the fact that they probably thought, well, let's see how it goes. He's probably got 15 games to show us he can do it, and then if it's not working out, well, we'll make a change.
I think it's a high-risk appointment. I mean, it's low risk in terms of that they knew him and they believed in him, but actually to appoint an inexperienced manager, I don't think there are many clubs would have done that. I mean, Brighton possibly, but then they do their fantastic due diligence into them.
No, but well done, Brentford. 3-1 over Burnley, who I think look like they're going down.
Yeah, pity.
I think so. Coming up next, Estêvão was the star for Chelsea in midweek. Can he do it again today?
the Toffees to the Tractor Boys, the Eagles to the Seagulls, Gunners, Bees, Hammers and Magpies, Premier League teams have got a load of crazy nicknames. Ever wondered where they came from? Let's start with Everton. They're dubbed the Toffees, but why? Well, because when the club was formed, just down the road there were two local toffee shops. Ye Ancient Everton Toffee House and Mother Noblet's Toffee Shop were big fan favourites. Next, they say if you can't beat 'em, join 'em, and that's exactly what Ipswich Town did when it came to their nickname. The term Tractor Boys used to be chanted by their opponents as a way of putting the team down for their farming background. But during one game back in the late 90s, Ipswich were 1-0 up and they decided to flip the script. 1-0 to the Tractor Boys, they sang, and a new nickname was born. Let's head to Leicester, famous for more than just a red, well, orangey cheese and Jamie Vardy. Leicestershire is also the birthplace of fox hunting, hence the Foxes. Next up, turns out apples are not the only fruit that don't fall far from the tree. Bournemouth's nickname, the Cherries, comes from the fact the club's stadium was originally built right next to a bunch of cherry orchards. This next story actually involves two club nicknames. It started with Crystal Palace. They were having an absolute nightmare run back in the early 70s. They'd been relegated after a terrible spell and manager Malcolm Allison decided enough was enough. He wanted a new nickname, something strong, fast and destined for success. Something exactly like an eagle. But there's more to this one. Brighton were in search of a nickname too, and Palace finally gave them what they needed. In a heated match between the two back in 1976, Palace fans began chanting, "Eagles, Eagles." And some clever Brighton fans came up with the perfect reply, "Seagulls, Seagulls." Not all club nicknames have a crazy story though. Take the Gunners. That just comes from the fact a group of munitions workers in the Royal Arsenal factory in Woolwich set up the club in 1886. On the flip side, some nicknames seem simple, but there's a bit more to them. Like West Ham. The Hammers is actually nothing to do with the ham part of the name. It comes from the fact the club used to be called Thames Ironworks FC and was made up of workmen and shipbuilders. So next time the away end's chanting their crazy nickname, you'll now know exactly where it came from.
Yeah, this is Sunday edition, where the texts and the WhatsApps have been pouring in on a variety of subjects. I'll pick a couple. Anthony, mitigation for Everton here. He says, we were missing the most important cog of the team in Idrissa Gueye. Yeah, well, whose fault's that?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you know, I haven't seen much criticism of Everton fans against what happened at Man United, probably because they won, but it was ludicrous.
I thought it was quite amusing the way that Everton handled it the next day, whether that was David Moyes or whatever. They had it coming out with the boxing gloves. I thought that was good. How to diffuse it.
But if they'd lost, I'm not sure it would have been quite so funny.
No, that's true.
No. Guna Ronnie says, good morning, guys. I knew what Henry looked like, but I never knew what Shaun looked like. Either he's been on holiday or he's been under the sun lamp. But Shaun, you look quite a cool geezer. Thank you, Guna Ronnie, who's watching us on Smart TV, which you can all...
You always look quite healthy, actually.
Yeah, I have been... I have been on holiday.
Brackets again.
But that was before last week's show. Yes, I did go on holiday for a few days and it was very sunny.
Very nice. Where were you?
Dubai. I hadn't been before.
Okay.
31 degrees every day.
Is that where you got your plastic tree?
Oh.
Where do you get your plastic Christmas tree?
Oh, I can't remember. It's ages ago. Anyway, you digress. Let's talk about more important things, which is Estêvão, who was fantastic for Chelsea in the week against Barcelona. And when the talk is of Cole Palmer coming back, you think, how's this going to work? John Cottrell, Brazilian football expert, is joining us to tell us all about Estêvão and how he's going to fit in with Cole Palmer. John, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, John.
Welcome from São Paulo, Brazil. Hello, Henry.
Lovely to see you. John, tell us all about Estêvão and how he got to this country and whether everybody thought he'd be the success he's been.
Well, he could have ended up in France. PSG made a bid for him and Enrique. Enrique, I'm going to talk about him just a little bit later, but I think it's about 60 million bid for the two of them from the French club to Palmeiras, but Chelsea nipped in quickly. Chelsea, as we all know, have this policy now. They getting in early on these very, very talented players. They got their bid in. They acted, which is one of the big differences that Chelsea do with other clubs. They move in quickly. They acted, they got him in, and they brought the player in. But he's a fabulous talent. He's got absolutely no ceiling. I've talked to lots of scouts about him, and they say just how brilliant a player he is, and he can do anything he wants to. The scouts here in Brazil probably knew about him when he was about 10 or 12 years old. The European scouts when he was about 15. And as I said, Chelsea acted very, very quickly and brought him in. He's absolutely fabulous. Branco, the ex-Brazil left-back, who now works for the Brazilian Football Confederation on the coaching staff, he said he's the best player since Neymar. And I spoke to Lawrence Stewart, who's one of the co-sporting directors at Chelsea just recently. And, of course, they are very, very happy with Estêvão.
I'm sure they are. But, of course, you can never absolutely guarantee that youngster will hit the ground running the way he has. I mean, if you look at, say, somebody like Endrick, who I think was also Palmeiras, wasn't he? Went to Real Madrid, and it hasn't worked out for him, and he's probably a year older. And we were hearing exactly the same things about him when he went there as we're hearing about Estêvão now.
Yeah, this is the word of caution, isn't it? Just over a year ago, Estêvão was ripping up England at Wembley. Mm-hmm. Scored a fabulous goal.
So did Endrick.
Said he's arrived. Endrick. Yeah, Endrick was the man. And everyone's saying, right, this is his time. He's going to be absolutely fabulous. He's played 11 minutes for Real Madrid this season. Okay, he's an injury and new coaches, so he's found himself out of form and out of the side and possibly going to go on loan. So that is the word of caution for these players because they're both teenagers still. So a lot of things can happen. That is the big issue, really, with these kind of players. Have they reached the peak already at that age? From my scouting perspective, that's what you've got to look at. Is there more to come? I think in Estêvão's case, even when he was younger, some of the scouts that I know always thought he had a higher ceiling than Enrique. So Chelsea have got a fabulous player, really, and a man perhaps who could lead Brazil to World Cup glory next year. Because there's probably going to be no Neymar. Go on, Henry.
Yeah, no, I mean, just fascinating. Just obviously with your sort of scouting background, and I've obviously read all your books. From what you've seen of Estêvão, we've obviously seen him play off the right, on the right for Chelsea, but he can also play as a 10 as well. It's ridiculous pigeonholing a kid at a young age tactically, but where do you think he will most flourish on the pitch?
Well, I mean, the thing about Brazil, to England with some respect as well, there are so many options. I just made a list. You've got Vini Jr., you've got Victor Roque, who is now at Palmeiras again after a spell in Spain. Gabi Martinelli, of course, Luis Henrique, Rafinha, Rodrigo, Richarlison, João Pedro, Matheus Cunha, and then Lucas Paquetá, Bruno Guimarães. You've got so many options for Brazil, of course. It's finding the blend. And this is the thing about Ancelotti for me. It's not about formations. It's not about strategy as such. It's about finding the right blend of getting these players in the right positions. But yeah, as you said, you can play anywhere. They he's not a kind of Neymar traditional type number 10. That's the thing. Brazil have all these options. They don't have a Neymar type figure, but they've got tons of skill, lots of talent, and they're going to be a real force. But finding the right position. And for me, Ancelotti, is what they wanted is the first foreign coach in Brazil for a long, long time. Not the first, but they wanted him. As 6 for me, has he already peaked, Ancelotti? I don't think the results have been fabulous for Brazil. Brazil have really struggled in the qualifiers. Probably one of the worst qualifying campaigns, if not the worst, finishing in 5th, 10 points behind Argentina. At some stage, or people were saying maybe they won't qualify, but Brazil will always qualify. 7 teams go through.
On the Chelsea side of it, John, do you see Palmer and Estêvão being able to play in the same team consistently? And if so, how will it work?
Well, that's a good question, isn't it? Because you get a lot of coaches who come out saying, well, we can't have these 2 players playing together. They are similar skill sets, of course. Whether or not Estêvão will start today is probably unlikely from what I'm hearing. Palmer's going to be the number 1 still. Estêvão, only 18, he's still the maturing talent. Again, it's finding a way to blend these players together if you want to do that. You've got similar kind of skill sets, probably Palmer still ahead because of his experience and the physicality as well. I think Estêvão still maturing. Physically, he's not quite there yet. So just getting that right kind of formation. But yes, they can work together, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to force them to get together, because England had this problem in the past where they forced players into perhaps wrong positions just to get into the starting line. So I don't think it's a priority. You don't have to force them together. You could have one or the other. And if it doesn't work together, then you leave one on the bench.
And it's a good problem to have. John Cotterill, Brazilian football expert, thank you very much. Enjoy Sao Paulo. Henry, do you think you can get them both in the same side?
I think he'll probably try, but what's been interesting with Maresca is the way that he's sort of easing him in. As John said, there's a physicality and a pace, although pace it's not an issue for Estêvão, but I think he started 8 games and he's come on in 9 more. So I think that's quite intelligent. But look, he's obviously tough mentally. I think his work out of possession I thought is decent, and obviously that will develop. I think maybe it helps having Reece James right back, who is that sort of slightly, he's the captain, he's the leader type, even if he's obviously occasionally stepping into midfield or starting midfield, Reece James. So I think there's all those elements, but Cole Palmeiras, as we'll have to call him from now on, you want to see them playing together. But then what I think the issue actually is as much with Enzo Fernandez, because he's been playing
full forward.
Yeah.
But interesting with Palmer and Estêvão, they both seem quite happy to drift out to the right, particularly. So maybe they'll, interchange, and Enzo going to have to drop back and suck it up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, Cole Palmer's such a fantastic player. I mean, and he's such an intelligent player that he will...
He will be starting for England, will he, in that number 10 role?
Well, he won't be. He won't be.
I know he won't. But
he'll be 3rd on the list. It's ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. Next up, it's our feature Best of the Best, and we're sticking with the Brazilian theme.
and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
This is Sunday Edition with Shaun, Custis and Henry Winter. We're with you till 11 o'clock. And now it's time for this.
One of the greatest tries ever scored, but she won't get there. Kaylee Hodgkinson is the Olympic champion.
I'm going to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee.
Oh, Stephen Harmison, one of the great balls. Double 12! Oh, my word!
Best of the best on Sunday Edition.
I think I'm a special one.
I think he's done it! Yes! You beauty!
Let's be having you!
On talkSPORT.
Yeah, this is Best of the Best. Me and Henry discuss the best of a certain subject. And this morning, in honour of Estêvão and what a great game he had during the week, we're focusing on the best Brazilian Premier League players.
What a start for Arsenal! Gilberto breaking forward right on cue. Only as far as a right-footed shot from Coutinho that goes right into the postage stamp. What a hit!
He's picked out Juninho. Juninho with a strike. Oh, what a goal!
Into the box at the edge of the 6-yard box was Firmino, and he steals in to get his hat-trick.
Drops towards Gabriel on the half volley. He scores! What fantastic technique!
You can't replace this guy. He's the best that I've seen in the Premier League.
Please check back inside, and Alisson makes a crucial near-post save.
Oh, what a goal. It's absolutely brilliant. From the back to front, Edison involved yet again.
Yeah, we've been blessed with some brilliant Brazilian footballers in this country. Didn't always used to have them. I remember when, it's before the Premier League, but remember when Mirandinha arrived as Newcastle United striker, and we were like, blimey, Brazil's centre-forwards turned up. He turned out to be not that great particularly, but he had his moments. But of course that wasn't in the Premier League era, and I think you cannot do a feature like this without focusing on a player who probably blazed the trail for Brazilian footballers in this country. That's Juninho at Middlesbrough. Even though they got relegated, they went to 2 cup finals, and he brought samba-ness to Teesside.
And we'd had a taste of him in the Umbro Cup in 1995, hadn't we? Which was the sort of the warm-up in a way for the for Euro.
So what did you notice in that?
Well, he was just outstanding. He scored some amazing goals, and I think you signed him after that, didn't you? Brian Robson.
Not me.
Sorry, not you. Sort of.
You mean Middlesbrough? Yeah.
And Brian Robson was manager, and obviously liked him and took him in, and he was fantastic.
He was tremendous. And
he voted him Footballer of the Year, or the players voted him Player of the Year.
Players. Yeah. But he was astonishing. I mean, you know, Middlesbrough traditionally is a working class football club, which with working class fans, and this was like something out of another world almost when he turned up. There was a great feeling around Middlesbrough, and he was the epitome of it, really. And yet, as I say, they ended up getting relegated. But
what a player! I mean, he had some great games for them. I think one of them wasn't against you. Newcastle in the League Cup quarter-finals. I think he was outstanding in that. Middlesbrough fans will tell us. But it was quite interesting on social media this week, because I think, is it 30 years since he signed for Middlesbrough? So there's obviously been a bit of focus on Juninho. But some Middlesbrough fans were out in, it was either Sao Paulo or Rio, where Juninho's got a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't there at the time, but his sister was working in the restaurant and FaceTimed Juninho, so that these 2 Middlesbrough fans who were there in their Middlesbrough shirts, and then Juninho's parents paid for their meal.
And a great character. And I think he ended up having 2 or maybe 3 spells at Middlesbrough over the years. But that initial Juninho time was just...
So are you having him as the captain of the Brazilian 11?
I wonder if he can be manager now. I don't know. Anyway, he was a fantastic player. But since then, there's been some outstanding midfield players, particularly. And even though his star faded after he left Liverpool, Coutinho, for me, is right up there as one of the greatest we've had here.
Well, and also one of the greatest bits of Liverpool's transfer business.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, will they get 130, 140 for him in the end?
Incredible.
He was fantastic for them. I mean, they've had a few business. I mean, I always liked Lucas Leiva because I think he got a bit of criticism for a while, but I just thought as that hard-working midfielder, he was outstanding. Not that I would have him in my Brazilian...
Yes, but you've put together a Brazilian team. Now, of course, in goal, it's a pretty stiff competition because the two of them, Alisson and Ederson, are like... I mean, I always found them pretty difficult to keep
pick between the two of them.
Between the two of them, I've got to be honest.
Yeah,
I know you're going to go Alisson.
No, I'm going to go Ederson, actually.
Oh, really?
I mean, he got...
because of his distribution?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, was it a couple of assists? But then Alisson got a header. He got 6 Premier League titles, Ederson. I mean, it's impossible to choose from. And do you remember when we were growing up, Brazilian goalkeepers...
you didn't have Brazilian goalkeepers.
No, they were just sort of...
I know, they didn't do anything. They had a terrible reputation, didn't they?
Taffarel's has slightly changed it as he sort of moved on a bit, but... Yeah.
Okay, so are you having a back four?
Well, I can't really. I mean, Raphael, I guess. I mean, he was Manchester United fullback.
What? Really?
Not a great, but
can't we just convert a midfield player into right back?
Well, okay, we can have
Gilberto Silva there or something like that.
3 centre-halves. Gabriel, who's your favourite player at the moment. Well, you don't rate Thiago Silva, or you feel he didn't.
No, I do rate Thiago Silva. Fantastic. But when he was in this country, he was coming to the end of his career. So how do you quantify it? Like Coutinho had his best times when he was at Liverpool, but when he went to Barcelona, it didn't work out. So.
Sorry, Thiago Silva, when you say he was coming to the end of his career, he was still pretty important for Chelsea in terms of organising, in terms of his ability on the ball, leadership,
okay, but all right. And so more important than, say, David Luiz, who I know people will laugh about that and the PlayStation thing, and everything, but very, very influential when he was at Chelsea.
Yes, less so at Arsenal.
Less so at Arsenal, probably.
Yeah. No,
less so playing for Brazil in that semi-final. But hey.
You know what? I went to that semi-final, and you were slightly concerned when you saw. Obviously, they were missing Neymar because of the injury. This is in 2014, and David Luiz, I think, was captain, and he was so emotional in the.
Well, he would be losing, but
yeah, but you were just thinking, well, hang on a sec, you've got to play with your heart. Your head as much as your heart, and then Germany took them apart 7-1. I mean, it was extraordinary.
Anyway, you better rattle through your team.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
So go on.
Gilberto Silva. I mean, how many holding midfielders do you want? I mean, Fernandinho. Got to be in there.
But longevity, Fernandinho in this country, probably one of the best.
Yeah. Fabinho as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to find out where Bruno and Joe Linton get in here.
You see, you're right. I mean, yeah, I didn't have them in because I was thinking very much of the past. I mean, I had Firmino in, obviously, further forward.
You're just filling it with Liverpool players, then?
No, not at all. I had Firmino in there, obviously, Juninho and Coutinho, obviously.
Coutinho.
But then, Anderson, Manchester United, 4 Premier Leagues, League Cup, 2 Community Shields, which we have to count, Jose, Champions League, Club World Cup, and he took penalty, I think, in the Champions League final, was it in Moscow, and it was just nerveless. And Ferguson said he absolutely knew that he was there.
So he's getting into your team?
No, he's very much on the bench.
What about Rafinha? Because obviously he leaves these shores and does well at Barcelona, but there were times at Leeds when he wasn't even getting in the side.
No, I know.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. Well, was it more than 100 Brazilians have played in the Premier League?
That's what you've told me earlier on.
Yeah.
That's a quiz question. Name all of them.
Yeah, long quiz, but yeah.
Yeah. Willian, discuss.
I mean,
he's played a lot of games in this country for a lot of clubs, and you can't deny he was pretty good at Chelsea.
Would you have him in your starting Brazilian Premier League 11?
It depends how you play it, doesn't it, really? Well, who's he centre forward, for instance?
He's have Richarlison.
You can't have Richarlison. I think I'm putting Firmino up there as playing as a false 9, I think, maybe.
What about Brentford's finest?
We have had a text about that saying, dear sports journos, just a random thought. Thiago at Brentford is one of many Brazilians lighting up clubs across Europe. Never mind Esther Wow at Chelsea. And that's just mentioned on the wireless. Is this ominous for the World Cup? Are Brazil back?
Has he not actually been capped yet, has he? I'm not sure. But, that's a fascinating one. Will he be? We'll have to get John Cottrell back on.
What about Matheus Cunha?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to play Cunha.
Well, what position's that, by the way?
Well, whether he's more 10 than a 9.
One player we never did have in the Premier League, despite the fact Chelsea looked at him many times, and was Neymar, of course, who in this country we never quite get, whereas around the world they seem to...
Cost.
Yeah, and he nearly came to Man United, he nearly came to Chelsea.
Robinho, another one.
Actually, Robinho was okay for a little while, but I felt that he never much for the discipline side of Man City.
No.
But I would have liked to see Neymar in the Premier League, but I don't...
You've got an amazing goal-scoring record with Brazil. I mean,
fantastic.
It's obviously faded in recent years.
So you haven't exactly got a 1 to 11 there, then?
No, I think I got about a 1 to 30.
Yeah, 30 players in your team. Who do you think, if I said to you, name the best Brazilian player of all time in the Premier League, who would it go to?
Juninho, not because of what he won, because of what he did.
I'm with you. I think that's right. We're handing it to Juninho. Well done, Juninho. Although you got relegated and they lost a couple of cup finals as well, you're getting the award from Sunday Edition for being the best Brazilian Premier League player we've ever had. Do you think
deservedly? Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You're listening to Sunday Edition. Next week, cross live to Selhurst Park to preview Crystal Palace v Man United live on talkSPORT.
when was the last time you saw someone score with a knuckleball free kick? We're going to take a look at why we're not seeing them anymore and explain a bit about how they work. The knuckleball peaked in the 2010s after that Ronaldo strike against Portsmouth in 2008 inspired academy players everywhere. Here's a young Mason Mount.
I tried to base my free kick on Ronaldo, hit the ball by the valve and it moves. So what do you do? Top corner.
Now, no ball is perfectly aerodynamic, so as it travels it creates ever-changing pockets of turbulent air, causing that unpredictable movement. Football's most prolific free-kick taker, Juninho Pernambucano, perfected the technique but didn't invent it. He was inspired by players from the 90s and even the 50s. So how do you do it? You have to hit the ball head-on with as short a contact time as possible so the ball doesn't spin. Hitting by the valve helps with that short contact time, as it's the hardest part of the football. So why don't we see knuckleballs much anymore? It's because players are being told not to shoot from dead ball situations because the XG is so low. In fact, as Opta shows here, since the 08-09 season there's been a 10% reduction in players shooting from free kicks in the Premier League. And in 23-24, a record low of 11 free kicks found the back of the net. And the knuckleball, though spectacular, is imprecise, which is why it's becoming a thing of the past.
Strasbourg take the lead against Crystal Palace.
A game we shouldn't definitely lose.
And the referee blows the full-time whistle and Everton have won it.
So the fact that he's stuck with the three centre-backs to the bitter end, I think is a dereliction of duty.
We are in the bad times. It's not getting better. It's not getting better.
It's all about what you do with the system and how fluid you are. And
we play in the different moment. We defend in the different space. We try to attack in the different way. They are just doing the things better than us.
Just when you thought they were turning a corner, they've run into another cul-de-sac. Manchester United 0, Everton 1.
Yeah, it's Crystal Palace v Man U, which will be live on talkSPORT. That kicks off at midday. And to look ahead to this one, we're joined by the mighty Adrian Durham. Adrian, good morning.
Morning, you guys. What a privilege and pleasure to be on your show.
It's a privilege to have you, Adrian. Now then, last week, before Man United played Everton, all the talk was 3 wins, 2 draws, 5 unbeaten. They're on a roll. Amorim was talking about it's much easier to cope now. I've got things a bit sorted. Then, of course, they lose at home to Everton. It's no wins in 3, 2 points out of 9. And it's a disaster. Is that just the way it is for Manchester United?
Yeah, I mean, it's the way stats can be viewed, I guess. But I think when you're looking, give it the eye test. I was at the Everton game on Monday Night Live on talkSPORT, and they were dreadful. They were truly dreadful. Some of the worst performances from certain players I've seen. And I've got to say that the wing-backs for Manchester United, even Amorim has called them out by saying, you know, they're not actually that good. And when you think about Crystal Palace's wing-backs and what they're doing in that system, you know, I think that Manchester United have a long way to go. He's actually said, Amorim, that Palace are doing things better than us, which is a hell of an admission for him. They've won one of their first 6 away games, Manchester United. They always win more than that last season. It was 2 of the first 6 seasons, before that 4 of the first 6. They won the first 6 away in the 2021 season. So this is a particularly bad season. And for me, he's got to turn it around. I think the 5 unbeaten thing, the 3 wins, 2 draws, was a little bit of a myth. as has been proved. So I'm intrigued by this one. There's a great opportunity for Man United because Palace, their Europa Conference League form is stuttering, and they played on Thursday night, so it's there for the taking for United if they get it right.
And of course, Palace play similar tactics to what Amorim does, and yet Glasner does it better.
Yeah, and Amorim has said that. He said Palace are just doing things better than us. It's amazing. He's spoken at length, Amorim. One good thing about him is he does speak openly and at length about things. He said not all 3-4-3s are the same. We defend in a different space. We try to attack in a different way to what Palace do. But the bottom line is, whatever his little nuances of his system, Palace are doing it better. They're more attractive to watch. They get better results with it. They score more goals. They're just a better team to watch than Manchester United. So he's going to stick with this 3-4-3, and he's got to start getting it right.
Adrian, you look at the recruitment on both sides and how many of Manchester United players would actually get into a sort of combined 11 of the two teams today. I mean, you can't really make a case for any of the United defenders, can you? The way the Palace's defenders have been playing. Palace's central midfield as well. Wing backs, as you've rightly said, and an attack as well. So it's recruitment as well as the individual abilities of both coaches.
Yeah, it's probably 11 Crystal Palace players, and when you bear in mind that in the last couple of seasons they've lost the league, so yeah. Well, tell me who gets in.
Cunha, I assume Cunha's out today because of concussion protocol, but he possibly. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, well, listen, it's all about opinion. People may have different opinions on who gets in and who doesn't, but the reality is Crystal Palace over the last couple of seasons have lost Elise, they've lost Eze, and they're still getting good results. They're going to the top four with a win today, so you can't knock what Oliver Glasner's doing here.
What is the fundamental problem for you at Manchester United? If you pick one thing out, what is it?
What a great question.
Thanks.
Just one.
Yeah. The players not being good enough. I mean, it's okay. I don't mind him being wedded to a system, but the players aren't good enough for that system. When I watched Xerxes on Monday night, and I know they've got injuries up front and all that, but Xerxes he was not good enough. He's not good enough for that Manchester United team and what they want to achieve. Dorgu, I mean, I'm baffled by it completely. And I know he scored against Scotland, but when I watched him in that game for Denmark, I'm like, how on earth is this guy an international? How is he a Manchester United player? So I'm baffled by how bad some of those players are. So that means you've got to look at the recruitment, but also Amorim's picking them, he's coaching them, he's seemingly not making them any better. And yet they do have some players who have, top level experience like De Ligt. So they should be doing better than they are, but I think that there's a number of players who just simply aren't good enough for Man United.
And Jeremy on text picks up on something you just mentioned, actually, Adrian. He says, Palace don't play the same as Man United. A formation is not a style of play. They have far, far less of the ball than Man United. If Man United had that little possession, the fans would be up in arms. So it's like United always have to take the game to the opposition, where the opposition don't necessarily have to do that.
It's a great point, and I mean, to be fair, Amorim, in that quote I just gave, he's basically said that not all 3-4-3s are the same. Troy Deeney's here with us, and during the build-up, the hour build-up, 11 till 12, we are going to be having the big 3-4-3 debate and find out what is different between Palace's 3-4-3 and Manchester United's 3-4-3, and where it's going wrong for Manchester United's 3-4-3. So stand by for that, but it's a great point made.
Adrian, quick prediction.
I actually think it'll be a draw because Palace had to go to France on Thursday, and I think they'll be disappointed that they lost that game. So I think that they're on a bit of a downer. Normal circumstances, I would go for a Palace win, but I think this could be a draw today.
Brilliant. Adrian, thanks very much. Adrian will be hosting Game Day Live at 11 o'clock. That Crystal Palace Man U game kicks off at midday. There is a lot to chew over about this one, isn't there? The 3-4-3 is a fascinating debate. I'm not usually particularly nerdy about tactics, but this one does quite grab me.
Well, particularly when you look at Manchester United's tradition of flying wingers and go back. Obviously been a lot of focus on George Best. In fact, Jeff Stelling's chat with Phil Thompson about George Best, which has been playing on talkSPORT, was on earlier today. It's absolutely fantastic listen about George Best. But so, yeah, you just go back to George Best, Ryan Giggs, Kanchelskis, Lee Sharp, more recent. And I just think it's against their tradition, their DNA, their identity. And if you're going to be wedded to a system, and we know how stubborn he is on it, 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1, whatever you want to call it, then you've got to make it work, and it's not. So
is it not possible to widen out the pitch in a 3-4-3 then?
If your wing-backs are top class, as Tyreek Mitchell is, he's been outstanding, and Munoz at Palace, then yes.
Do you really think Adrian's right about Crystal Palace, 10 players, and Crystal Palace Man United combined 11? It's at least 10 of Palace.
Well, who would you have? I mean, Casemiro, 5 years ago, but him that's ahead of Morton. I mean, you probably have Bruno Fernandes in there, but they've got Palace. Yeah, it's difficult.
Did you actually think Man United were rallying after they had that run? 3 wins, 2 draws. Amorim was feeling like the pressure was off a little bit. He mentioned that Jim Ratcliffe coming out and backing him had made things a bit better, so there's a bit more calm around. And then they go and lose to Everton.
The manager of the month curse, I think he got.
Yeah. But did you think he had solved it, or he was making strides?
I was expecting bigger strides to be made because he had strikers that he wanted in. Actually, you probably have Brian and Bremer in there. I think in a combined
there's
team.
2.
Sorry, yeah, there's absolutely 2, and Cunha when he's off the
Mateta's playing up top though, surely.
Yeah, absolutely, because you'd certainly have him ahead of Xerxes or Seshko. We haven't seen much of Seshko, so I was expecting more from Amorim this season because he's had midweeks to prepare.
It's a strange sign of the times that we're talking who would be in your combined Crystal Palace Man United 11, isn't it?
But it's a legitimate point because of the similar formations and the fact that Glasner's effectively overachieving.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen today then?
I think it'll probably be a draw.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not saying that with much
I think I'm going for a draw as well. Right, we're all on the fence. This is Sunday edition on talkSPORT with Shaun, Custis and Henry Winter, and we'll finish off by looking at today's games. Straight off to the Crystal Palace v Man U team news with your commentator, Joe Shannon.
Yes, good morning. Crystal Palace make 3 changes to the side beaten on Thursday night in Strasbourg in the Conference League. Richards, Kamada and Wharton all return. Convo, Hughes and Lerma drop out. Hughes has made the bench despite being taken off on Thursday with that knee injury. So Henderson is in goal. Richards, Lacroix and Gehi the captain at the back. Munoz, Kamada, Wharton and Mitchell in midfield. Sarr and Pino in support of Mateta up front. For Manchester United, there are 2 alterations, both in the wing-back positions. Diogo Dalot replaces Dorgu on the left, Mount for Mazraoui on the right, so that means Ahmad will shift to the wing-back position and Mount will play further forward. Laments in goal, Yoro, De Ligt and Shaw, who makes his 300th club appearance for Manchester United today. Then the midfield 4 of Ahmad, Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro and Dalot, with Mbermo and the returning Mount behind Xerxes up front.
Step up to the Oki and win on talkSPORT.
Right, we're closing in on the talkSPORT Darts Presenter Trophy of 2025. That's now in its 3rd year, where 8 of talkSPORT's biggest names go head-to-head ahead of the PDC World Darts Championship kickoff. And this year, you and a mate could be right there with us.
You'll be the only members of the public allowed in on Wednesday, the 10th of December in London. 2 seats, 2 insiders' passes. A true money-can't-buy experience for the ultimate talkSPORT fan. The very next day, you'll also both be heading to the opening day at the PDC World Darts Championship. Plus, we'll sort 2 nights hotel stay and a massive £2,500 in cash.
For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Texts cost £2 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 423 9761. Lines close at 4 p.m. next Thursday. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus in the UK, excluding Northern Ireland. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now. This is a network promotion. Full T&Cs at talksport.com. Now, it's all getting pretty fast pace here. Let's look at the latest odds ahead of today's action with William Hill.
In the Zone on talkSPORT. Brought to you by Final One Standing. New from William Hill. 18 plus gambleaware.org. Terms and conditions apply.
And it's hello to Sam Norris from William Hill. Morning, Sam. Morning, Sam.
Hey, guys, you well?
Hi, Sam.
Very good. Sam, tell us where we're at with Final One Standing.
Yeah, we had a huge 77% of players get through in the original and the biggest £500,000 jackpot game yesterday when Brentford triumphs, and 20% of the players in that league have got Aston Villa to beat Wolves today. So we'll have a good clutch of those players going through if Villa can do the business. And of course, if you've been knocked out, there are midweek fixtures coming up in the Premier League. So a new round of Final One Standing with a new jackpot will start on Tuesday at 7:30. But yeah, plenty had Brentford to thank yesterday, and plenty are waiting on Villa to do the business against Wolves today to try and keep them through. And we're not too far away now from giving away that £500,000.
Indeed. So what's the odds on Villa beating Wolves?
They're 1-2. We expect them to be super popular in all the ACCAs today. We could actually do with Wolves doing us a bit of a favour. Yesterday was a vintage day for punters. We're kind of licking our wounds a little bit here. Don't expect too much sympathy for the bookmakers, but yeah, it was a really good day for punters yesterday. We're on the canvas a little bit, so a Wolves win would be most welcome.
Never mind. No, there are 2 other games kicking off.
That's about as much sympathy as I thought we'd get.
Yeah, there are 2 other games kicking off at 2:05. Forest versus Brighton and West Ham versus Liverpool. Kick off with Forest v Brighton.
Yeah, Forest Brighton is one of those kind of rare scenarios where both sides currently have an identical price. So it's a real pick 'em. 13-8 Nottingham Forest, 13-8 Brighton. The draw priced up at 9-4. They're not been brilliant away from home this season, Brighton. And Forest do look a different beast under Sean Dyche. So I'd probably be leaning towards a Forest win there at 13-8. And all of the games that they've won since Dyche has taken over, Morgan Gibbs-White has scored 3-3 in the Premier League for him over the course of the last 3 games. So he's sure to be popular again. We've actually boosted the price of him to have 2 or more shots on target today to 9-2 from 3-1. So yeah, that could be one that's popular with punters. And as for West Ham Liverpool odds on, another kind of disaster in midweek against PSV. They're 8-13. I think a lot will be looking at West Ham at 19-5 and thinking that's a bit of a price. One positive for Liverpool is that they usually fill their boots in this fixture. They've scored 5 goals against the Hammers 3 times, I think, in the last 5 head-to-head. So it's usually a game where they get a load of goals. Mo Salah, the epic boost in this game, by the way. He's even money out from 4-7 to score or assist as Liverpool, again, try and get back on track.
And, of course, 4:30, Chelsea v Arsenal. That's the big one today. How's it looking?
Yeah, very much the big one of the day, the big one of the weekend as well. Been a long time since Chelsea have got a result against Arsenal at the Bridge, by the way. So they're overdue in that regard. 11-5 to win today. Arsenal are priced up at 5-4, and the draw on the board at 11-5. Got another epic boost on this match as well. Bukayo Saka to score or assist. That's 7-4 out from even money. You do get impact sub on that bet as well, which could be key. 3 separate Arsenal substitutes in midweek came on and either scored or assisted. So those player markets, the bet builders, etc., all covered by impact sub today. It could be another game where that promotion perhaps comes to the fore. This is an interesting one, isn't it, chaps? Because you've got Chelsea, who won the Club World Cup, officially the best team in the world. That's the title for winning that. But Arsenal favourites for the Premier League and the Champions League. Does that make them the best team in the world?
A big debate there. One team that isn't the best in the world is Man United. I think we may have glossed over that one. Are they going to win at Crystal Palace?
Yeah, they're not in the hat at the moment for best team in the world, honours, are they? They're 21-10 against Crystal Palace. Palace just keep on shortening. They're 5-4 currently. Obviously, once upon a time, United would be favourites for this fixture, but not the case in this day and age. The draw priced up at 23-10. They looked kind of devoid of ideas, didn't they, on Monday night? Manchester United, a lot of kind of crosses into the box that didn't really go anywhere. So no surprise to see Palace have been popular. I think there's a couple of interesting bets here for bet builder fans. Casemiro's already served 1 suspension this season. He's 1 yellow card away from another. He's 8-5 to be booked anytime. He might just get overrun in midfield against Wharton and co. Jean-Philippe Mateta's even money to score anytime. He's scored 3 times in his last 3 against Manchester United. And an epic for this match as well. Brian Mbeumo to score or assist. He's been the real bright spot for United this season. That's 7-4 out from even money. But the money is only going in one direction, and that's Crystal Palace.
Indeed. Thank you, Sam. That was the latest odds brought to you by Final One Standing. New from William Hill. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, gambleaware.org.
In the Zone on talkSPORT. Brought to you by Final One Standing. New from William Hill. 18+, gambleaware.org. Terms and conditions apply.
Right, we've got a load of games on today, but we want to have a quick look. West Ham versus Liverpool, Henry. Liverpool led by the fantastic manager, Arne Slot, as you told us last week, but he's since had a bit of a cuffing from PSV as well during the week. Are you expecting a reaction today at West Ham?
There have to be a reaction, and he's got to get his tactics right, but individuals got to take responsibility. You've got international captains in there. They're going to have to start lifting themselves.
The point was being made in the week that Van Dijk always fronts up after Liverpool games and talks. Some people say he doesn't take enough responsibility of his own errors, but Mo Salah has had criticism for not turning up to speak as well.
Jamie Carragher made that point.
Justified?
Yes, I think he should come out and talk. I mean, there's an element of sort of rotation of when players come out and talk, so he should fit in with that. But absolutely, I think he should come out and address the issues. I think it might sort of calm things a bit.
Now, you're off to Chelsea versus Arsenal. That's a 4:30 game, and it is a tasty encounter, this one. I think we're all looking forward to it. Chelsea have definitely got a bit of momentum behind them. Obviously, Arsenal do as well, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal have lost sort of 1 or 2 players, like sort of Gyökeres, but Mourinho's done well in that position. Eze has been outstanding. Does Odegaard come back in? And Rice, I mean, might have a point to prove against Chelsea, having been released many years ago. But look, what a game! And look, it's good to see Chelsea responding like that, because there were enough doubts about Maresca. But look at them now.
Including from you?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, having seen what happened in the second half of the season at Leicester.
So we're expecting a draw there as well, I think, aren't we? I am.
Yes.
Absolutely. Up next, it's Game Day Live. Palace versus Manchester United.